So Apple is holding their event on March 8th. It's called Peak Performance. And so I figured, why not take a look as to what Apple products can we expect from this upcoming keynote. If you guys are new, make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Go ahead and drop a like and leave a comment as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look as to what can we expect. Alright, we are on MacRumors.com, which is the #1 most reliable source for anything Apple and Apple leaks as well. And by the time you're already watching this, you have already know what the Apple products are, but as I'm recording this, it is March 7th, so I have no idea what any of the products will be. So let's go ahead and take a look, shall we? So the first product, which is expected to be in the Apple keynote, is the iPhone SE 5G. It is currently going to have the model after the iPhone 8, a Touch ID home button, and a 4.7-inch display. No Face ID, no wireless charging, no MagSafe, but it will have the latest Apple processor, the A15 chip. I think this is going to be worth it for some people, and I'm very excited. I'm glad they have the Touch ID button. I do love the Touch ID button, to be honest with you. You know, Apple, if you're listening, maybe put the Touch ID on the power button on the side. It would be very appreciated. If you guys can do it in iPhone 14, then maybe I'll get it. Maybe. Obviously, 64, 128, 256 gigabytes of storage, and the price is at $399. So not bad, really. Not bad overall. The next product is the iPad Air. This is the 6th generation, which is expected to have the latest Apple processor, the A15 chip, which is in the iPhone 13 models, and it will also have cellular service, 5G, and even an update to their center stage on the front-facing camera. Obviously, the price is $599 for 64 gigabytes, and it gets more expensive as you upgrade your storage. To be honest with you, I feel like this is really an unnecessary upgrade. And I'm saying that because the iPad 5th generation is fine. You know, it has the A14, but I mean, at the end of the day, you know, people love the faster, the latest and greatest stuff. So I feel this is a really unnecessary product they should have made in the first place. But if it's in here, I mean, hey, you might as well change a few colors rather than not keeping the same. The last generation has space gray, silver, rose gold, green, and blue. So maybe change up a few colors, maybe put an orange in there, maybe a purple, a pink, you know, but you know, we'll have to see in the keynote. Now we're definitely going to get into the Macs here, so let's go ahead and start with the Mac Mini, which is obviously a upgraded version to the latest Mac Mini back in 2020, where it had the M1 chip. But this time, it said it is going to have the M1 Pro and the M1 Max chip, and eliminating the Intel chip. For me, as a person who has the last Mac Mini with the Intel chip in the space gray colorway, I really want to consider upgrading. I mean, even though I do have issues with the fan and it runs very hard, it does just fine. And I feel like, you know, I really don't need to upgrade, but it is really cool to see Apple's high-end silicon chip, the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, being put into a small mini desktop computer. Obviously, the new Mac Mini is rumored to have, or basically to be said, 4 Thunderbolt ports, USB Type-A ports, Ethernet, and an HDMI port, and then even the same magnetic charging cable, as well as potentially some new colors, other than just the space gray and silver. So, I don't know about the colors of a Mac Mini. I think it looks weird having a red or orange. It looks pretty childish, to be honest with you. But, I mean, if it does aesthetically fit your room well, then I'm not gonna complain. You know, and the same thing with your monitor too. I mean, if you have a black LG monitor or any other type of monitor, or even using a small TV, then again, it just looks very weird putting it right next to a colorful desktop computer. So, but I think it's pretty cool, and we'll see hopefully in the keynote if they do come out with some colors. Okay, so the last and final rumored Apple product will be the 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is supposed to have the new M2 chip, as well as a few other things, but they're mostly not really updates. It is a mixed bag as to whether or not Apple will have or won't have the touch bar. No mini LED display or no promotion. 120 hertz. Not cool. The Mac. The 14 and 16 inch did get mini LEDs, I think, and it got 120 hertz as well. So it's a little difficult for people to buy a computer which is very small, for one, and probably usable, but two, they want the best out of the new chip. But I think also at the same time, this is kind of for those who are, using it for school or any other professional way that's not to the extreme. And yeah, there's also iPhone case colors potentially. Of course, iOS 15.4 and basically everything else with macOS Monterey 12.3. With updates on Siri, AirTags, and maybe even a new color of the iPhone 13. And yeah, I think mostly it's gonna be an update really on some products, but mostly focused on basically the Mac. So yeah, and this is a lot of what we can expect from the Apple event. I'm very excited. Maybe there'll be a surprise, maybe they won't, and hopefully most of this is probably gonna be true for the most part. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow for my thoughts and reactions.
Tomorrow.
Okay, it is Wednesday, and I was supposed to record this on Tuesday, but I got caught up in some homework, so here we are now. But the keynote just occurred, and let's talk about it because it was very interesting. So at the beginning of the event, Tim Cook talks about Apple TV Plus. Nothing really much except for Friday Night Baseball and some upcoming shows. Cool, pretty boring, but glad it's out the way. And then we have two iPhones, the iPhone 13 and the 13 Pro in two new shades of green. So if you really like the iPhone 13 or the 13 Pro and you also like green, then this is the phone for you. Unless if you have a green iPhone case, then really this shouldn't be a purchase for you. It's all I'm saying. Then you have the iPhone SE, which is what we were all expecting to be at this event. It has the A15 Bionic chip, a camera, and better battery life. The only difference here is instead of $399, it's $429, and it's in the same form factor of the iPhone 8, but just a little more powerful than the 2020 version. Overall, it's a good phone for people that are first-time users, and it's very competitive with other phone companies that are in this price range. So, good job. Good job, Apple. Then you have the iPad Air. Comes in 5 beautiful colors: purple, space gray, pink, blue, starlight. It has the Apple M1 chip, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide front camera with Wi-Fi and 5G. As I said before with the iPad Air, you really don't need to upgrade. You can honestly get the last generation, which is even better, and it's not that really big of an upgrade, but because this has the Apple M1 chip, then everyone wants the latest and greatest thing at the end of the day. So can't complain there. And yeah, also Apple, do yourselves a favor and please put Final Cut Pro in the iPads. You guys got all this hardware, but the software needs to be a little bit better. Please put Final Cut Pro into the iPads. It would be very appreciated, and thank you. Seriously, it really does make a difference. Then finally, we have one of the most anticipated and interesting products from Apple called the Mac Studio. Additionally to the Mac Studio is the Studio Display. But let's start with the Mac Studio first. So the Mac Studio contains Apple's silicon processor, the Apple M1 Ultra. Basically, two M1 Maxes combined together, and they're connected with this thing called Ultra Fusion. So the M1 Ultra contains the CPU, a more powerful GPU, a very powerful neural engine, and a lot of memory bandwidth. So very, very powerful, basically. With the Mac Studio, it will come in basically two of the Apple silicon processors, the M1 Max and the M1 Ultra, as I said before. The price for the M1 Max starts at $199 and the M1 Ultra starts at $399. Obviously getting more expensive as you upgrade. The Mac Studio M1 Ultra maxed out is considered to be $8,000 or closely around $8,000. Which is a lot, but if you're a person who's really dedicated to like a studio or like making music or making professional editing videos, not like me though, but you know, just someone who's like really professional, you know, movies, TV shows, etc., then this is mostly going to be you paying $8K or $8,000 for this tiny machine, which does a lot. Also, I did forget to mention these Apple silicon processors are doing way better performance but less power. So they have a bunch of charts comparing them to Intel and other CPU processors. So for what it's worth, it sounds pretty good to me. For the back of the Mac Studio, you have 4 Thunderbolt ports, a USB Type-A, HDMI, a headphone jack, and a Ethernet. On the front for the M1 Max, you have 2 USB-C ports, versus the M1 Ultra where you have 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and additionally they're very similar because you have the SD card slot. You also get Wi-Fi 6. The size of the Mac Studio is 3.7 inches in height, as well as the width and the depth of being 7.7 inches. With the Studio Display alongside the Mac Studio, see what I did there? The Studio Display is a 5K Retina display, which has 27 inches diagonally. True Tone technology. It is compatible with nano texture glass, which is an option you can have if your screen is too glossy or too reflective. Then this is the screen for you, where you can be more productive and more focused without, you know, your eyes hurting. You have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera with center stage. You have spatial audio for Dolby Atmos, wide stereo sound, studio quality for headphones. Your connection, you have 1 Thunderbolt 3 port as well as 3 USB Type-Cs. You have an adjustable stand, which is configurable, and you have options, and it is compatible with basically any type of MacBook, basically from the year of 2016 up to later. But there you guys have it. Those are all of the products from the event. Of course, there will be more events from Apple later this year, WWDC 2022, as well as Apple's upcoming events in September and even October as well. Let me know what you guys think. I won't be able to have any of these products though, of course, but I will be watching YouTube reviews of basically most of these products. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace, love, and happiness as always. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Again, leave a comment and drop a like as well. And I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. See ya.